Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the post show here at Connections Community Church. And this is a time where we kind of like sit down, debrief what happened in the morning, what we talked about, what our impressions are, how it relates to life. So kind of a really good time to process, what God has done during our time together. We're joined by Gary. Hi. And by Andy. Hello. And by Layla.
Hello.
So welcome to you. We're glad you're joining us today. We are continuing our parenthood series, or as we like to refer to it, our guilt-inducing series.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Guilt trip, a message too.
And it is inevitable that whenever we talk about something that we care about so deeply, that we feel convicted because we all know, oh man, I could have done better. Mm-hmm. Even though I think most of us would say we were doing the best we could in the moment with what we knew. I would love to be able to take my life, hit the rewind button, go back, as long as I would know then everything that I know now and learn on the way. Unfortunately, it never, ever happens.
Right.
So today we talked about the unchanging principles of parenting. And so we talked a little bit about talk and about touch and about time, those three principles that we really learned from an interaction between Jesus and children. So I'm curious as we get started, what has changed the most between the way you were parented and the way you parented? What changed the most? How you were parented and then the way you did your parenting?
Right off the bat, Tony and I, we are much more relaxed as far as like rules in our household. That might be a bad thing. But growing up, my stepdad was, and he still is, very anal and like organized, and rules for rules was how I like to put it. And when I talk about this with him, he's still like, get out of here. I'm like, eh. But like, you couldn't eat on the couch. And if you ate on the couch, you had to have a tray, right? Like, and we would get in trouble, or you had to have like a mat underneath, like on the table, and just lots of rules. And I remember these rules, they were like written down, and then we had this really big Bible.
They were written down.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Like a scroll. And then they were stored in this Bible.
A tablet that had 5 on each one.
So yeah, we are much more relaxed. I mean, we have some rules, but they're pretty simple. Like, stay safe, like who you hang out with and stuff. But there aren't a lot of rules, like, which, and we probably are a little too lax on things because it's like.
Now, was that an intentional choice on your part?
For me, it was.
Okay,
yes.
Because of the reaction to what it felt like.
I'm still mad about the rules. I see my stepdad, I'm like, your rules.
That's funny. Gary, what about you? What changed the most between the way you were parented and then the way you parented?
Well, it's interesting when you look at human history, but in my brief history of my family, I will say there's been an evolution from my grandparents, which my grandmother never once said she loved my dad and never once hugged him, to my dad trying to work through that and do better, and then to me trying to work through that and do better. And I did a lot of hugging, and I mimicked my mother's parenting style more than my father's.
Okay.
And that was a conscious decision. So I think there's evolution in families.
Yeah.
I mean, you just mentioned an evolution.
Yeah. My kids might be like lots of rules for their kids.
Yeah.
It's going to be something. I'm going to get in trouble when I go to their house when they have kids because I won't follow their rules.
You can't, because you're the grandparent.
No
and
rules
grandparents,
for Granny.
everything's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is interesting, the evolution, how it can.
It is, isn't
change,
it?
Yeah.
Because just like you said, and that Gary kind of filled in there, there are things that the ways we were parented, and we make a conscious choice. I don't want to be like that, or I want to do it differently or do it better. And I think that's normal.
Yeah.
I hope all of my kids are going, I want to parent better than I was parented.
Sure.
Because I do want them to be a better parent,
Yeah.
than I am.
Sure.
Sometimes, of course, we carry things into our parenting that we're not even conscious of, or
Sure.
we're actually doing. Andy, what about you? What's the biggest change, or some of the bigger changes between the way you were parented and the way you are or have parented?
Yeah, I'm very, very blessed. I have great parents. My dad, I think, much like you were saying, probably grew up not being told you're loved as much. But man, my dad made it a point: when you leave, I love you. I'm proud of you. Like he and so that has instilled in me. And one thing my dad said: every generation gets better. So where his temper would go off and he'd be mad about himself, because parents were the hardest on ourselves. He would just look at me and go, every generation gets better. So when you have kids, your temper will be better than mine. You'll be better at this. So I don't think I am, but it's every, like you said, every generation gets better too. And it's a constant evolution. I think the biggest change though for me is like my kids, they have rules, but there's just, cell phones, there's so much more at their fingertips than even my parents had to worry about me having. Yep. And I had to then, navigate that. So that's probably been the biggest thing is like, hey, well, just because it's online doesn't mean it's always true or doesn't mean this or, establishing healthy boundaries and by, not having to be over their shoulder every minute, but also checking and making sure what we're looking at is, it's tough.
That's such a great point, Andy, that there are challenges that contemporary parents face that like our parents never had to, well, at least my parents didn't have to face with me.
Right.
Yep.
Right? That are like, whoa, how do you navigate parenting when you've got these brand new challenges that are taking place? That is so true. When it comes to those big three unchanging principles, whether it be touch or time or talk, which is the biggest challenge for you when it comes to your parenting? Which of those maybe did you do the best? Layla might have an answer here. Which of those did you do the best on? And which is the one that you would say, man, that was a tough one for me? We'll go reverse order.
That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll start with Andy.
Okay. All right. This is one of those messages where I'm glad God gives you these every few months where you sit there and go, yes. It's like, like there's always that one test that you ace and you're like, oh, thank goodness. Not saying I was perfect, but from day one, I was always like, because my kids, Angie fed. So they would not take bottles or anything. So I took every opportunity when they weren't with her. I would sit with them when I was doing something. I'd, throw them up in the air. I'd play on the ground with them, get probably spit up on way more times than I care to recall. Take naps. I'd doze off in their bed with them, all that sort of stuff. And as they got older, I would take time off from work to go to sporting events or golf because they never do it after work hours. It's always during. So I remember many times taking time off so I could go with him, driving them to and from places. So I felt good about it. As they get older, I really have to be more cognizant of time. Because now they're older and they're off with friends. It's like, I don't want to be that parent that makes them stay home because then they're going to resent. I just don't want that to happen. But at the same time, my wife and I are being more intentional about, hey, let's do dinner tonight, or we'll text who's home tonight so we can plan something. Yeah. It's a lot harder now that they have girlfriends, friends, other places they want to be. And it's like, okay, so that's where my current, it's changed.
Another good nuance there, Andy, and that is that these big three unchanging principles, the application of them changes as our kids get older, and some things get easier, some things get a lot harder. That's a challenge in parenting. Gary, what about you?
So if I look back to when they were younger, and I really ascribe to the philosophy, if you don't get them by the time they're double digits, you've missed out, right? You got to get them before 10. And I remember an incident. We were at the school, and there was a sporting event going to start. And I'm sitting there, and my 10-year-old son with his friends all around, still makes me emotional, comes, sits on my lap with his friends all around. He's 10 years old.
That's
You know,
awesome.
and I just think that indicated to me that, you know, the whole touch thing. And but again, as it changes, that same son, when he was, I'm going to say 16 or so, broke up with his girlfriend and didn't feel that he had the proper conversations with me, that I wasn't there for him, and that caused a rift for a number of years.
Oh, wow.
So like you say, it changes. So I do well on one thing at this period of time, and then not so well on this thing on another period of time. And
Boy, that is as good a synopsis as most people's parenting life as any I think I've ever heard.
Yep.
That's really good. Layla?
Yeah. So, as I was mentioning a few minutes before we started today's post show, I was like, could you please not ask what we don't do well? And here we are.
So I made sure to ask it just because you said that.
I knew it was coming. Honestly, I mean, I think I have room for improvement in all of the three areas, but if I had to rank them, I think that the loving touch part has been harder for me. And I will say, when they were younger, and it was like when they got to a certain age, I just stopped doing it as much. It's not that I didn't like nurture them when they were, especially babies and toddlers. I did, but there's something in me, and I can't even think of like what age, but it's like when they were a little older, probably like some point around grade school, I just stopped doing it as much, and then I don't do it really at all. And I show my love differently, right? And this is something too. I knew I was going to have a problem with this because I don't do it very much with my husband. Like I don't like hugging, right? Somebody hugs me, I'm like, ooh, you know, I'm the person who's like a statue.
Whenever I like do it before the like post show or something, that's always like there's like a.
And the thing is like I like to hug. I haven't seen you in a while or whatever, but it's like I just saw you, bro. We just saw each other yesterday. We don't need to hug again.
As a normal greeting, it just feels weird.
Yes, and like here I am married into my husband's family, who's like every interaction. When they first see you, you hug. When you leave, you hug. So it's like I get it.
Yeah, Tony and I hug a lot.
Yeah, and he loves. You know, I don't know what it is, but I really like fist bumping. Like it sounds weird, but I like it. It means something. It means more to me as like an exchange of a gesture than a hug. I don't know why. Even Jesus, I'm probably like, well, fist bump. I don't know.
I can't wait to get to heaven with Jesus' outstretched arms, and then he fist bumps Layla.
But I think he's going to do that to me too, because he knows that's what I like.
Yeah. Exactly.
Maybe we'll do two. I don't know.
Exactly.
But so I think that's something that is harder for me, and I try, but it's just I know I do it in different ways, right? Like I think time, you know,
Time for sure. You should take every credit for how much time you give to your kids.
My whole life is around my family, right? Probably at a fault a little bit, right? When Perry was talking about how you shouldn't need to think about, I should work more so I can give my kids more things. I'm like, I'm guilty of that, right? Like I won't get myself something. I would much rather get them something. So I know that they still feel love, and thankfully God had me marry Tony, who has got enough love and like affection to give all of them, you know, so he fills the spots that I don't provide, and maybe you know, it's like a good balance.
Yeah. No, that's excellent.
Totally. Yeah.
And I think it probably is important to note that this physical touch component, which interestingly everybody talked about to some degree, doesn't have to be expressed in just one way.
Yeah.
And so if it's a fist bump, if it's a high five, if it's a pat on the head as opposed to a hug, it's still a touch that you're putting on.
Let's put it that way.
And that's good, because there's something about touch. I remember going through the scripture one time, the life of Jesus, and just noting how many times Jesus touched people when he didn't have to. Even when Jesus healed, there are instances of Jesus healing. He just said a word. Matter of fact, the person being healed wasn't even in the area, but Jesus says a word in the prayer. He didn't have to, he probably didn't even have to say a word, right? And yet the number of times he would heal a blind person by touching their eyes. Heal a deaf person by putting his fingers in their ears. Healing a leper, which you were forbidden to touch, by putting his hands on them. Over and over again, Jesus touched people when he was healing them and blessing them. And I think it's indicating that Jesus realized human touch matters. So this can be a tough question. What is it that touch communicates that makes it so important in really connecting with other people? What does touch communicate?
Well, to me, it communicates intentionality, because it's really easy to just go, hey, what's up? I go out of my way to fist bump every youth kid that comes in, or when I see them at like sporting events. And it's also funny you mentioned that. I know they're not biblically accurate, but every painting you see of Jesus, he's always got his hands on somebody. Have you ever noticed that?
I never thought of that
built
before.
into our DNA that it's just, there's something about, like you said, that fist bump. You and I will see each other like, hey, what's up? Boom. And it's one of those things that's like, oh, they went out of their way to extend a handshake, a fist bump, a pat on the back. I mean, there's a difference between a pat on the back and a Perry pat on the back. You got to be ready for that, because if you're eating or something, you could choke. But it's just, it's showing somebody being intentional about taking the extra, just from doing this to this, and like that little, it's like a physical, like, hey, we're in this together. So that's what it means for me.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. What are your thoughts on that, Gary?
For me, I think it relays to you that I value you, that I see you at the same level as me, that I accept you. It's for me, you're valued, you're accepted, you and me are good.
Yeah.
It's important.
That's good. You and me are good, because when people are at odds with each other, with the possible exception of a fist,
they keep their distance.
Yeah, they keep their distance. Touch is going to be a part of the equation. That is really, really true. So, Layla, since you're touch challenged,
you're gonna love my answer. It's pretty. Oh man,
it's pretty Layla-ish.
Sometimes when I answer these things, I feel like, oh, these people are gonna think this person needs help. I get it. But to kind of piggyback off of Gary's answer, to me, it is like, there's like a boundary, like this invisible boundary line, right? But if I let somebody touch me, hug me, even a fist bump, or if I do that to somebody else, then it means like we cross that boundary line. I don't know what to call that. I think it's like a boundary of comfortableness, right? It is like it means a lot, because I wouldn't just let anybody
fist bump or
yeah, right. It depends on the setting, right? Strangers, but to do it more than once, like if it, you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Like depending on the setting. So it is like a test.
Yeah,
it is a big deal.
Right. Sure,
but it shows I'm comfortable with that other person, right? It's like this.
Yeah.
I don't know how to
allowing
explain
you into my personal space.
Yeah. And it's
very
personal bubble.
I think there's some people who are like, not a big deal, but it's a big deal to me, especially if I do it to you. Yeah. My friends have been like, oh, did you just hug me? And I'm like, I know.
They're flabbergasted by it.
But so
I think you've actually like apologized when you've gone in to hug me before. I was like, what are you apologizing?
Because it's weird. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, you bobbed and I weaved and I'm like, I don't know.
I went to shake, you put a fist bump out.
You want to hug somebody, it's like, who goes left, who goes right?
It is so weird every time for me. So,
for sure.
But yeah.
Touch was there were several things. My parents were, they were products of their upbringing. They were products of their day and culture. Sure. Like both Gary and Andy mentioned, I mean, things change kind of along the way in what's considered appropriate as a parent to do. I mean, my dad touching me, I don't remember, with the exception of discipline and teaching me how to shake hands like a man. I don't really remember, that physical touch going on. And I just I don't know what it was. It wasn't a conscious choice. I just wanted to touch my kids more. Yeah. I wanted to hug them. I mean, we would wrestle as boys, so there was a lot of that going. But even as they got older, a hug was something we did, or it was a hand on the shoulder.
Yeah.
It was a pat on the head. It was some like, or it would be like, check out what I'm about to do. It was like, I'm so proud of you for doing that. I just wanted to make Layla uncomfortable. But isn't there something about the touch combined with the word that just, it's like, I want to be close to you, and that physical touch kind of mimics that desire on our part. I want to be close. That I think somehow just makes it so incredibly powerful. Proverbs says that the tongue, our speech, has the power of life and death. And the way we talk to our children can either breathe life into them or it can suck life out of them.
Yeah.
What are the challenges when it comes to parenting? Because you're with your kids all the time, and we're supposed to discipline them and correct them, and turn them into
and then comfort them, be there
and
for
be
the
there.
friend.
Everything.
Yeah.
What are the challenges when it comes to communicating, talking to our kids in real life-giving ways? What can make that difficult to do?
Yeah, I was also thinking about this during the service, because as much as I think I am encouraging, I am so quick to, like, after a sporting event, I will immediately be like, Charlie, do you remember how to block? Because she's a catcher. I'm like, you need to block. Like, I'll pick apart, especially with the sports with the kids or school. Like, I'm trying to ensure that we're instilling, like, strong responsibility, good attitude, right?
Yeah.
Hard work, very important to me and Tony. But I think where we have to work on it, at least for me, and I think Tony would agree too, is first pointing out all the good things. And maybe you don't even say any of the things that they could do better right away, depending on the situation or the conversation. But man, my go-to was like immediately, and I know it's been a problem with Zay, because she's talked about it with me, where and this is terrible, I love this post show, where she's told me, like, I don't feel like I'm good enough. It's hard to say that out loud as a parent. It was hard to hear, and I hope I fixed that feeling for her. And I don't know. I don't know. Even if I told her all the great things that she did, she might still feel that way, right? I know I had moments of that, especially in my teenage years. So that's my thing, though. I really want to work on that, because I know the hugging thing's just not going to happen. So my next best takeaway of homework for me is trying to lead with the good things, and maybe I don't even need to say what I think could be better, right? Like, who am I? They're, especially with school and sports and stuff, they're getting it from their coaches. I'm hoping they're getting it from their teachers. I don't know why I think it is my job to correct everything.
I know why, because I tend to do the same thing.
Yeah.
It's because we made mistakes, and we don't want our kids to make those same mistakes.
Yeah.
So we point out the things that we fell short on, and we don't think about, like you said, that it's causing them to go, oh, that's all that they saw today. I've done that many times too. So it's a tough balancing act, because you want your best for your kids. You don't want them to experience any heartache, but it's going to happen. You have to.
Mm-hmm.
What I find so insightful about what you're saying is that you're pointing out that it's not like you're yelling at your kid. It's not like you're calling your kid names. We can use our speech in a well-intended way to help develop our kids, and yet still potentially do damage, even when we're trying to do good. That's a tricky thing about communication, because we do want to coach, we do want to teach, we do want to help, we do want to grow, but man, sometimes you do enough of that and it sends that negative message.
Yep.
Gary, what do you think? What are some of the challenges in really keeping maybe that balance of both correcting and instructing or disciplining we need to, and then just making sure that our speech is being encouraging and life-giving?
Well, two things, I guess. One, when I'm coached, and I'm still coached today on various things, I more appreciate, hey, here's what you're doing right, and here's some opportunities that maybe you can try.
Okay.
Other than this is what you did wrong.
Yep.
But secondly, a friend of mine, her mantra is, I love you too much to argue with you. And it can get into that little argument, depending on the age of the kids, and you can get into that little argument. And I think it's important, at least as it was important for me, and I think it is important, that as a parent or now as a grandparent, that I be seen as an authority, because I do have superior wisdom. I do have superior knowledge, and I want to be seen as an authority, a loving authority, as God is a loving authority. I want to be seen as a loving authority, but I want to be seen as an authority because I want you to take my words seriously.
Yeah.
So there has to be some point at which you say, like she says, I love you too much to argue with you about it. This is the way it is.
True.
And that can often get missed, in my perspective, in much of the parenting today, is that as a parent, you are an authority. You do know more.
Yes.
Yep.
You have lived more life. You're wiser. And so to be that authority figure in our kids' life is something that we need to be. And we don't want to lose that. It's using that authority in a way that breathes life, because we can abuse our authority, or we can use it harshly and end up damaging the very people we love. I look at the life of Jesus, who was like, okay, I'm God in the flesh. Yep. I have ultimate authority. He's got these 12 that he's traveling with all the time. And one of the things that really impressed me about Jesus is he wasn't a nitpicker when it came to issues with his disciples. Yeah. He could have always been doing every day. I know what you're thinking, Peter. That's not right. He could have corrected it.
Yeah.
But it was only on the really big stuff that he gave a rebuke. He did a correction. Most of it was taking him aside, teaching, answering questions, affirming. So really important. So there's a balance that we need to work for there that can be so hard. Yeah. Perry mentioned, and we'll kind of wrap up with this. He mentioned the words that God the Father spoke to his son, because I think they're so instructive. Actually happened twice. It happened at the beginning of his ministry and end of his ministry. It happened at his baptism and the transfiguration. Mm-hmm. When God the Father, only time we know of, in an audible voice spoke to his son, he said, "This is my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased." And the cool thing about those words is that God was saying, "You're my boy. Yep. I love you. Yep. And I am so proud of you." And if we can find a way as parents and grandparents, because Gary, you and I both get that whole grandparenting thing, to go, "You're mine.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I love you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I am so proud of what I see you do and what you're becoming." If we can find a way to work that in a lot, I think we're breathing life into our kids and our grandkids by the things that we say. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you know what? You can probably tell by our conversation that parenting is nothing that we have down, but it's something that we, like you, care deeply about and want to be the very best we can. And I love, Gary, that you said, I'm still being coached. At this phase of life, and we share this phase, we're still growing and learning and wanting to get better. And at Connections, we're learners. We're all in the process of growing and trying to get better at living the life that God wants us to live, and at blessing others the way he wants to. So if you'd like to join us in this journey, we would love to have you. We have services every Sunday morning at 8:20, 9:40, and 11 o'clock. And we'd love for you to be able to join us live if you could, because as cool as we are online, we're even better in person. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So we'd love for you to join us. So God bless you. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to talking with you all next week.